What came over me to go back to September 30th, 2014 and watch that game again? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into this edition of Locked On MLB Crossover. We are Locked On A's, Locked On Royals. My name is Booney, host of Locked On A's, and joining me today will be Jack Johnson, host of Locked On Royals. It's been 11 years, but the sting of September 30th, 2014 has never gone away. For A's fans, the wild card game in Kansas City wasn't just a loss, it was a gut punch collapse that defied reason. Today, we relive the 2014 Wildcard one-game playoff between the A's and Royals in Kansas City. Royals hosting their first playoff game in 29 years. You were there. What was it like?
Oh, man. I mean, to this day, it's the single greatest environment I've ever been in my entire life. Right. I have been to countless Chiefs games right across the parking lot. I've been to KU games, K-State games, Missouri games, all local schools here when it's loud and it's rivalry games and it's college game day. There is nothing, and in my opinion, there will never be anything that lives up to what that day was like. Because for so many Royals fans, I mean, you're talking 29 years, 3 decades since the last time they got to see playoff baseball at Kauffman Stadium. And I mean, school was let out early, and you know, people are getting there early, they're tailgating, and there was, I'm sure you can speak to this too about even in Oakland, there's a different buzz with playoff baseball. Like there's that
best.
It's the best. It's the absolute best. There's a little bit of a chill in the air. There's a low hum, just like when you get to your seats. And I wasn't, what's funny about it is I wasn't even anxious. You were just trying to soak up every little moment of it. But as I know we'll talk about, all that energy and the noise and the chants leading up to it, you had about 5 minutes. And then Brandon Moss put one 440 feet over the bullpen in right field. And it was this, oh no, like don't this be at least let it be close. And you even got to the 6th inning, people are going, man, I mean, it was close, but are we about to get knocked out after one game? And who knows if we'll ever get back? Like that was that feeling of, sometimes you only get one opportunity and you don't go back. But that atmosphere, I tell this to everybody, and I've even been to Final Four games before.
Sure.
There is nothing. And I repeat, nothing that will ever match what it was like on that night.
I bet. And you're right. First inning, right off the bat, Coco Chris single. With 2 outs, Brandon Moss, boom, bomb. 2-0 right off the bat. I'm thinking ball game, to be honest, with Lester on the hill. Now, there was something interesting. We go to the bottom of the first, and Kansas City punched back, right? Escobar opened up with an infield hit. Then Aoki got on base somehow, I believe. Oh, yeah, he got on base on a fielder's choice. He swiped second, one of many stolen bases. Hosmer, who was such a grinder, drew a walk. And then Billy Butler. Delivered. He delivered with a big hit down the left field line. And remember, he got picked off first base. And right off the bat, Royals punch back. Hosmer gets thrown out at home plate in that first inning, which was more interesting than just him getting thrown out. Now, the A's started at catcher was Giovanni Soto. Lester had 11 starts, and all 11 starts was with Derek Norris. All of a sudden, Soto comes in. He's a starting catcher because he's better defensively, and they know the Royals are going to run wild. He gets hurt, forced out of the game. Here comes Norris. So that was an interesting change, an interesting play that maybe allowed Lester to settle down, but who knows? Because right in the bottom of the third, they broke through. Moustakas was solid. Single to left, Escobar sack bunt. And that's what the Royals did such a good job of, man, in that year, is speed, small ball. It's the type of baseball we really don't see these days.
No, you don't see it at all. I mean, there's a lot of people via analytics that don't like bunting, right? They certainly don't like bunting guys over to second, giving someone a free out to not even make it a sack fly situation. But Ned Yost and the Royals knew who they were. Every single one of those players understood the fact that I'm up here to use my legs. I'm up here to put the ball in play, and I have to do every little thing right. And they prided themselves on that, even in spring training. I mean, if they got somebody on and you're facing somebody like John Lester, who had given them fits their entire career, whether it was in Boston or it was against the Athletics, it was, you don't take for granted guys getting on base. And they have the speed of, we may bunt somebody over to second and they could swipe third. And now you have that sack fly situation. But yeah, that was a big part of that 2014 team. They had the least amount of home runs, if I'm not mistaken, in baseball. And they said, we're not going to try to hit them. We are going to try to single you to death and try to small ball you to death. And that's something they played to their advantage.
Do you remember who led the Royals in home runs that year?
Gosh, it would have had to have been Gordon, right?
Gordon, 19. Yes, good call. Yeah. Can you imagine saying that today? Someone leading a team with 19. Anyway, bottom third, Lorenzo Cain. What a beast he was. Clutch double down the left field line to tie the game at 2. Hosmer with a little blooper to left field. Cain scored 3-2 Royals. And when we come back, I want to jump to the 6th inning. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. My favorite part, Prize Picks just added stacks. So if I want to ride with a player, I can select their passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with one click. And the new injury reboot feature, if your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Jack, bottom 3, Royals take the lead 3-2. 4th inning and 5th inning, it seemed like Shields and Lester kind of found their groove. No real threats. And we go to the 6th inning. Happy and I can't believe what really happened as I relive this. Sam Fold opens up the inning with a broken bat single. Donaldson walks. Ned Yost comes out, pulls Big Game James for Yordano Ventura. And at the time, I'm like, yes, bring in somebody else. And then Brandon Moss, bomb, dead center, 5-3 A's. Yes. What did you feel about that move?
Oh, that is a move that many Royals fans talk about and say, if the Royals did not come back in that game, that move would have gotten Ned Yost fired.
Yes.
It would have. In that moment, we all knew how talented Yordano Ventura was. And he had a fastball like no other. I mean, he could sit, especially coming out of the bullpen. I mean, you're talking 101 to 103.
Sure.
He was going to be amped up. The issue everybody had with it was this is a 23-year-old kid who has only started for the Royals. And, oh, by the way, you have Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis, and Greg Holland. And it's the 6th inning. These guys can work multiple innings, and this is arguably the biggest spot in the game. I always go back, we talk about fireman situations, and we always think, oh, well, the 9th inning's the biggest spot in the game. No, not necessarily. It can be the 6th inning. It can absolutely be the 6th inning. So to go to Yordano, I remember where we were sitting in the upper deck, we had a great angle of the Royals bullpen, and they used to be in left field. Now they're in right. And the gate swung open. I wasn't paying attention to who was warming up, and I didn't see the screen of who was. But my first assumption was they're bringing in Herrera, because it was Herrera, Davis, and Holland, HDH. And when the gate swung open, and it was not only Giordano, but Giordano to face Brandon Moss, everybody went, oh, it was like a groan in the crowd of,
right, huh?
Are they really bringing in their game 2 starter? It's one thing if it's the second or the third, like Shields gets bombed and they got to get some length out of somebody. And then when that ball was hit, I mean, everybody in the park knew that was going over 2 batters' eyes. And it was on, I want to say 99 or 100. And Moss crushed it. And then that's when, from a few people, that's when the boos started to happen, because everybody was so frustrated with that move when you had a 3-headed dragon that was readily available, and it's a do or die game.
Absolutely. It didn't stop there either, right?
No.
Reddick singled, and then he scored on Derek Norris's RBI single. 6-3. Sogard legged out an infield hit. Coco Crisp with a single to center plated Norris. At this point, I'm going nuts. I'm like, ball game. 7-3. We hung a 5 spot. And Lester kept on rolling. I was always worried about the bounce back inning, right? And he carved right through the 6th. Kane grounded out to short. Hosmer bounced out to second. Butler went down swinging. It was beautiful. It was working out absolutely perfect, even through the 7th. And then we get to the 8th. We get to the bottom of the 8th. And it's that man again. Escobar reached on a tough play. It was ruled an error on Lowry, but come on.
Always thought it was a tough play. Yeah, that should not have been an error.
Hit. At this point, bottom 8. Are Royals fans losing hope at this time? Are people hitting the exit, or they came back a lot in 14, didn't they?
They did, but there just was this sense with Lester on the mound of, I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome 4 runs, and you knew they weren't going to hit any home runs. You knew that it was going to have to be the small ball approach and kind of dinking and dunking. It would basically be in football, you're down by 10 and 14, but you can only run the football, right? You don't have a deep threat, right? You don't have an air raid offense. You have to slow play it a little bit. And I remember that Escobar got on, and then Aoki grounded out, and then Kane singled up the middle. And that brought a few people back to life. You're down 3, still 1 out. Who knows? You got the middle of the order coming up. Then it was, as I was talking about earlier, it was just one by one. Their phrase was keep the line moving. And everybody did such a good job in that lineup of just not becoming that back breaking out. I mean, Billy Butler, a Royals legend. Everybody loved him, but everybody knew that he was a big double play candidate. And I know in that inning, he came up representing the tying run. And deep in my stomach, I'm going, if he rolls one over to short, this game is over. It doesn't matter what they're down by in the 9th inning. That is the backbreaker, because the crowd had come back to life, and he ends up singling to right field. And that's when chaos started to happen at the stadium.
And Butler did not face Lester with that RBI single, right?
Yep.
Escobar gets on to lead off the inning. He steals second. At that point, I didn't care about the steal. Let him go. Let's just get outs. Kane, who is just an absolute killer, singled to drive into Escobar. He swiped second. Then Lester walked Hosmer. It was a 3-2 pitch. I rewatched it. It looked like a strike. I'm saying that now, but Jesus, it was in the pitch zone. It would have been a total tap on the head.
Yep.
Melvin comes out. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Lester was at 110 pitches, but in 2014, Johnny Lester on the bump. I don't know if I can really complain about the move. He brings in Luke Gregerson, who was good all year long. Butler ripped an RBI single to right. Terrence Gore comes in. He steals second, of course. And he comes home on a wild pitch by Gregerson. 7-6. 7-6. But, I mean, the Royals could have easily tied it or taken the lead that inning. They had first and third, and he got Salvador Perez to strike out. And then he got Infante to strand the tying run, and 7-6 going into the 9th. It was unreal, man. Unreal. When we come back, I guess we're going to finish off this chaotic, absolutely unbelievable game for the Royals and nightmarish game for the A's. Up next. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you have got a little something riding on the action. Whether you are a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thank you for making Locked On A's and Locked On Royals your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. You will get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Jack, what was going on in the stadium in the 8th inning there?
Well, I mean, it was loud as heck, that's for sure. I mean, when it was first and third, it was a Mardi Gras-like atmosphere. But then as you brought up, Gregerson gets 2 Ks to end that inning. Yeah. And it was this, now you're still down 1 where that's a golden opportunity to at bare minimum tie this game. And who do you get to hand it off to in the 9th? You get to hand it off to Greg Holland. So if you were to tie that game, erase the 4-run deficit, and now you feel that, it's in the bag. You're going to be able to walk this off. It's fate. It's destiny that's how it's supposed to happen. But then for those 2 guys to go down, I mean, Salvador Perez, I know we'll get to him in that moment. People were upset with Salvi in that game.
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he struck out 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
He was over. I mean, and Salvi's always been this way, even now in his 30 home run season. He swings at everything. I mean, there has never been a ball in the left-handed batter's box in the dirt he hasn't loved. He's a bad ball hitter, and that's also what's made him successful in this game and successful in his career. Sure. Is that because he's so used to swinging at those pitches, he's strong enough to eventually connect on a few of them. But in that game, it was, please just lay off some of these. They're not going to throw you a strike. And he was a younger hitter at the time, and people of that inning who they were most frustrated with, it was him. They were upset with him for sure.
You mentioned the 9th, Holland coming in. What was interesting is the A's loaded the bases in the 9th. Yep. Was with 2 outs. They get Jed Lowry to line out softly. But bottom ninth, classic small ball. Sean Doolittle comes in for the A's. Closer. Great job all year. And Josh Willingham comes up, pinch hitter. Blooper to right, just an absolute little bleeder that drops down the right field line. Jared Dyson comes into pinch run. Escobar, textbook bunt to second. And on a 3-1 count to Aoki, Dyson swipes third, which was just a gutsy move. Aoki, deep fly ball to right. I mean, that was actually a shot. Reddick caught that at the wall. Crowd's going absolutely nuts. And if you remember, they tie the game on the sac fly by Aoki. Kane hit an absolute bullet to shortstop to end the inning. 7-7. What was the eruption going on like? What was your feelings going into extra innings?
Well, I mean, to start it off there in that inning, Willingham pinch hitting for Moose. He was brought in to hit home runs. Willingham was with Minnesota that year and crushed a few off the Royals. And then you get your cheat code on the bases and Gerard Dyson out there. And so he was the one that brought the crowd to life, just the guts to swipe third. And what was always so great about him, he always had the green light. There were no signs ever given to Dyson. If he liked a pitch to run on, he was going to run. And with Aoki up there, who was so good at putting the ball in play, he knew he needed to get to third. And so when it's tied, yes, you were excited, but you knew your bullpen was out of bullets at that point. You had used Herrera, you had used Davis, you had used Holland. And so you bring on a guy who was pitching in the College World Series earlier that year in Brandon Finnegan, who once again is in Royals lore. That game alone earned him a plaque in everybody's home, I feel like. But he goes in there. I've interviewed him a few times.
Have you really?
He was like, honestly, I was like, were you nervous? I mean, you're talking about pitching in this environment, 10th inning. And he goes, I don't even know where my head was. He's like, I blacked out. I walked in from the bullpen and I blacked out. I don't remember much of it. He's like, he's just a gamer, man. He was gutsy, and he goes out there and he's pumping 96, 97 on the black, and had to throw multiple innings too. He had to throw multiple innings because there were not many arms left.
When I went back and watched the game and we got to the 10th and he came in, I just put and I'm like, that is right. That is right. I think he was the 2 overall pick that year, something like that.
He was a little bit later because the Royals in 13 were 86 and 76. So I want to say he was late teens, early 20s.
Gotcha. Out of TCU. And yes, just a few months earlier, he was pitching. And all of a sudden, they brought him in one of the biggest stages, and the guy just absolutely dealt. We get to the bottom 10. Royals had the winning run in scoring position, couldn't cash in. 11th inning, nothing by the A's. And again, the Royals had a shot in the bottom 11 as well. And 90 feet away. But we get to the 12th. Josh Reddick drew a leadoff walk. Lowerly dropped a sac bunt to move him to scoring position. And that ended Finnegan's night. Jason Frazier came into the bullpen. Did you like that move? I mean, Finnegan was on his 3rd inning, I believe.
Yeah, it's funny. I liked the move, but there really was nobody left. It was funny. I was, reliving that game. I'm going, could I have nitpicked anything? Oh, why go to Frazier there? But it was a moment of is like who else at that point? It's him or position players, I guess. So with a former Royal and Alberto Callaspo coming up, it was like, okay, he's a switch hitter. I mean, I don't remember the splits at the time if he was better from the left or better from the right, but Finnegan had done all he needed to do. Like for a rookie who had maybe 8 innings to his big league career, he did all he could. And so Jason Frazier, another deadline acquisition, he was somebody that they trusted in that spot and really had to trust in that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And Frazier, when he came in before that, wild pitch, right, to Reddick, to Callaspo, and Reddick advanced to 3rd, which was a big play. And I believe 2 pitches later, Callaspo line drive to left field, 8-7 A's. I'm going nuts. Bottom 12, A's stick with Otero, who I liked. He was good all year long for the A's. And again, when you're going to a game like this, there's not much else in the bullpen you're going to call for. You're going to go with what you got. But I liked who we got in that situation. And what I really liked about it was Lorenzo Cain opened up the inning, just grounding out, just a nice, simple ground out. Okay, here we go. Then Hosmer. Right off the bat, I thought it was out. Did you think that was getting out of the ballpark?
It was, from my angle, I actually thought it was going to be caught at the wall. It just, because I know Gomes, who then played for the Royals next year, was in left, and it was, oh man, who was it? It would have been, I'm trying to think who was in center for the A's at the time.
It was Sam Fold at that time.
It was Fold and Gomes, and I thought that Fold was going to get a read on it, but the ball just kept carrying. The wind was blowing out a little bit that night, and then when it hit off the wall, I was hoping they were going to stay down longer because I was praying for an inside the park home run. I knew it wasn't that realistic, but it was that moment of when it hits the top of the wall, people are screaming, go, 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 go. I mean, that to me, next to Salvi's hit right after that, was the loudest it got all night long. I mean, that was people screaming in desperation of please, please go, 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 and some mistake to happen out there in the outfield. But I kind of guess it was a mistake where somebody should have tried to play it off the wall so they could have kept him at second.
Well, before the Perez hit, Christian Colon, I mean, high chopper, infield single. Come on, man. Hosmer scores, ties the game at 8, and then the A's go to the bullpen, bring in Fernando Abad, gets Alex Gordon to foul out. 2 outs. Okay, here we go. Then they only had him face one hitter because he was this lefty specialist to face Gordon. They bring in Jason Hamill. Cologne, this again, a play that I look back on. At this point, the Royals are 6 for 6 stealing bases. They didn't pitch out once. They pitched out when Cologne was on the move. They pitched out. They finally got it right. And Derek Norris drops the ball. Unreal. 2 pitches later, Salvador Perez, you talked about it, chasing bad pitches, reached across the plate and ripped the double down the left field line. Cologne walked it off. And yeah, one of the wildest games October's ever seen, man.
You know, I'm sure you've already known this before, but I know for Royals fans, it's always talked about not so much the pitch out, the drop. That's funny enough, that gets lost in a lot of this talk is Derek Norris having Christian Cologne dead to rights, who, by the way, Cologne had 2 postseason at-bats in his career. It was that game-tying single in the 12th, and then he had the go-ahead hit in the World Series in 2015 off Addison Reed in New York against the Mets. So batting average of 1,000. But on that play, so when Salvy's up, for whatever reason, and I believe it was with 2 strikes, Donaldson moved off the line and closer towards short.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
And so then Salvy, if he didn't, which you don't blame Donaldson or the A's, with 2 strikes, you're kind of hoping that you're going to throw this pitch here. He's going to roll it right to you. Let's get to the 13th. Because really at that point, if it went to a 13th inning, I don't know who the Royals could have turned to. They would have had to have thrown Jason Vargas or Jeremy Guthrie and burned not only their game 2 starter, but now their game 3 starter if they were to win, and they had to go to Anaheim after that. But that's something a lot of Royals fans talk about is Donaldson moved a step or 2 over where then very next pitch, Salvy lines it where he was. And, you know, there's not many hits that happen like that where you reach out that far and you almost get that perfect curl down the line. But as I said, for the Royals, who had not been in the postseason for 3 decades, basically, it just felt like a destiny moment for them. You know, that 2014 year, the reason I tell people that it was more fun is that you were experiencing it for that. That was my first experience of postseason baseball, and they swept their way to the World Series. Like, you were talking about a team that was awful my entire life getting there, and then they sweep their way to the Giants. And, you know, you talk about not wanting to relive a game. Like, you are a bigger man than me watching that back. I can never go back and watch Game 7. I just can't. And it wasn't even a collapse, but it's that pain of, man, you were right there.